Welcome to the Child Care Business Coach. My name is Evelyn Knight. Today I'm joined by Beth Cannon, and we have a conversation about the stress that is happening around us right now. I think right now is a very important time for us to have the discussions about the just stress and anxiety. What we're experiencing right now is very hard and it's very heavy for us all. And even for those of us who things haven't been so bad, it's really just difficult right now. It's very stressful. Whether you're an owner or a director, we are faced with really heavy and hard decisions right now. We have so much on our shoulders and so much to worry about. So I really want to encourage you to join my Facebook group. We get together pretty much every day. I go on video at least 3 times a week. I have a whole library worth of encouraging videos that I have recorded and that I have in the group, as well as a lot of free resources to help you get through this time. To get to my Facebook group, go to facebook.com/groups/childcarebusinesscoach or just reach out to the group. There is a big group of us that just work together all the time, and we're really just bouncing ideas. None of us have been through this. There is no right or wrong answers right now. And next week's episode, I'm really going to get into that. How do we make these decisions that we're faced with, these huge, heavy decisions, and how do we live with them? So make sure to join me for that. Also, just know that right now we need to give ourselves some grace. And Beth is going to give you a wonderful tool that you can use to really just help you navigate this time. It is so important for us all to take care of our mental health. No matter how strong we normally are, this is really hard. It is really, really hard. So I encourage you to also look at Beth's Facebook group. If you're a faith-based center, she has amazing resources, and she is making a wonderful offer to my listeners, which she will talk about. I will also have in the show notes. I really hope and encourage you guys to take her up on the offer. She just has a heart of gold, and she really, too, just wants to serve. There are a lot of leaders emerging right now that just really want to help. And I think Beth and I are both in that same boat where our hearts are really just here to serve and to help people through this. If you want to connect with me, and even Beth is also on my Facebook page, join our group. We have conversations all the time. So if you want to connect with me, have a conversation. I am very responsive within the group. I really try to make sure I interact with everybody. And also you can feel free to email me if you're really just having a hard time right now. I have been there. I've suffered from depression and anxiety in the past. I know how easy it is to fall down that rabbit hole. I've been there. So please, I encourage you, just reach out. I'm more than happy to, email back and forth, message. These are really hard times. Nobody knows how to navigate this, and we are all struggling, but we can get through this together. There is a wonderful quote by Helen Keller that I usually use for my team, but I think this actually applies to all of us as ECE leaders at this time. We can come together and unite. The quote goes, "Alone we can do so little, together we can do so much." So here is my interview with Beth.
Welcome, and thank you for joining us today. Today I am with Beth Cannon from Beth Cannon Speaks. And Beth is going to talk to us today about something that has been near and dear to my heart right now. And something you guys have heard a lot from me is just right now, we really have a choice on who we can be after all this is over. And we can choose to thrive through this or just to survive. And so Beth has a course coming out that's really going to focus on it's actually called Survive to Thrive. And I'm going to let her tell you a little bit more about her company and herself, and then we will talk about her course. So Beth, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I have been in the early childhood space for about 21 years, offering fitness, dance, gymnastics, and sports classes through my company called Stretch and Grow. And so that's my segue into the early childhood world. But for about 20 of those years, I have done staff development. And recently, in the last year or so, we just really developed Beth Cannon Speaks to go in to conferences and do on-site trainings. And my heart is just to encourage and build up and motivate and develop preschool teachers and early childhood leaders. And so Beth Cannon Speaks, it's we do live and virtual trainings, and we also have some digital courses. And that's what we do. And Survive to Thrive, like you said, it's very near and dear to my heart, because when all of this began to happen, it happened on my 25th anniversary. Actually, my husband and I were away, and that's when it was declared a world pandemic, on my 25th anniversary. And so just having the last month or so to really process what now. We can either choose to just shut down or move forward. And I just made the decision, like, I am not just going to survive this. I'm going to thrive it. And great, great things are going to come out of it. But I had to start being really intentional about what does that look like to make good come out of this really, really bad season.
Right. And I do want to point out how before I started recording, you and I were talking about our businesses. We both own brick and mortar businesses. You Stretch and Grow thrives on centers, and I own a center. And you were just telling me how you're pretty much closed down altogether.
100%.
So you have every reason to really let this consume you. And you really have that choice right now. I mean, you're really in that position where you are an entrepreneur. So you don't have that choice to go on unemployment like a lot of people do. And you said your husband is also, so you guys are really, really affected by this. So if anybody has an excuse really to let this just mentally consume them, I think you're a great example of somebody who could allow this just to take over your life and just to let the negativity really consume you. But instead, you've made a conscious decision to grow and thrive through this.
Absolutely.
So your course, let's talk about that. The course that's coming out. I love this reflective journal that you have put together. It is absolutely beautiful, has some amazing content. And by the way, Beth is giving this away for free if you go to her website. And I will put the information in the show notes. So anybody who wants it, they can go to the show notes and click on the link. But it's going to be at bethcannonspeaks.com/survive to thrive. But let's talk about that here. The first thing that you talk about is control and release it. Tell me a little bit about how you came up with that as your first concept.
Well, there's 5 things, and the 5 things start with COVID, COVID-19. And so when I was thinking about what were some memory keys that I can take away for things to remember. So the first C is control. And being an entrepreneur, I really like to be in control. I love to create things. I love to be in charge of my destiny. I like to get up every day and, have a plan for how the day is going to go. In this season, we have no control over anything. Right. No control over our income, our accounts. Everything is shut down. So my normal MO of just striving and working and making things happen can't happen. And so we have these unexpected challenges and just trying to navigate them in the healthiest way. So when I was thinking of COVID, what does that look like? Control, and really just surrendering that
right.
is the very first thing we have to do. And just to acknowledge, I have no control.
Right.
And what does that look like?
Right.
And I think the first thing that I needed to do was just to release some expectations I had of myself, of my staff, of my family, because when you have no expectations, you're not really easily disappointed, right? So,
right.
Just to begin to release those expectations. And then I think for me, I had to walk out those scenarios. I'm a fear of loss of security is probably one of my deepest fears, just not being able to control, realizing that things can happen and things can get taken away, and I wouldn't have anything to do or say about that. My dad lost his job when I was in college, and we had always had a very secure, middle class family. And when he lost his job, I remember him saying, there's no income coming in. My mom wasn't working at the time. She'd been a stay-at-home mom. The fear of watching what my parents walked through, because I was very aware, made me realize, like, if I'm going to take care of myself, I've got to make sure that I've got a job and I've got a plan B and I've got a side hustle. So that really has been kind of my mode of operation since I've been out of college and in the workforce. And so I had to walk through all of those scenarios that really were kind of feeding my fear, and then allowed my mindset just to begin to shift, of not just this scarcity mindset, but kind of like a mindset of abundance. Because like you said, if I focus on what I don't have, I wouldn't be able to get out of bed in the morning.
Right. And it is a choice that we make, right? And I think that's one of the biggest messages I've been trying to send to people, is that we can choose through all of this who we're going to emerge as. And one of the things I love that you just said is the whole concept of control, because most of us in leadership positions, which owners, directors, whatever, an entrepreneur, we are leaders, which make us normally type A personalities.
For sure.
As type A's, we need that control. And so one of the things I've been teaching a lot lately is, that we have no control over this. And that does make us feel extremely insecure. So acknowledging the lack of control is very important. And also knowing that we can take command. We may not have control, but what you're doing is taking command of the situation in the way that you can, which is helping so much with you not letting this become so consuming and overcoming. And it is all about mindset. It just
right.
We need to make that conscious decision to control our mindset so that we can thrive and we can end up in a much better place at the end of this than we were to start out. So let's talk about your O, the open, your heart and mind. So tell me a little bit about that one.
So I think I just figured out, like, I have to be open to what is next rather than focusing on my plan. I saw the meme that said, January 2020, this is my year. March 2020, using coffee filters for toilet paper.
Yes.
Things that, it's different. And the path is very different. And so I had to really, like I said, surrender control and then open my heart and mind to where, okay, what I thought was going to be the plan, we were on trajectory to have our best year ever.
Yes.
Had a great staff, great leadership in place, super excited about the future. And then it was gone. And so I think we have to be willing to open our heart to say, okay, what I thought was the plan is not the plan. Now what is the plan? It's given me an opportunity to really search my heart. And I'm a person of faith. So for me, it's getting centered in the morning, having a good, solid, quiet time of devotion and reflection, and just being willing to say, the thing I thought was going to happen is not going to happen. And it's really caused my heart to shift. Like, things I thought were important, things I thought I needed to do, I'm realizing, like, I don't need to do those things. And that path that my heart was so set on, my heart's really not set on that path anymore, because I don't know what the future looks like. And we really have to let go of those dreams. And it's just been one of those things. Every day I get up and I just say, okay, I'm going to do what I have grace to do for this day, because this day is all I have. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. I don't know what the government's going to do. I don't know what the governor's going to say. I don't know what the president's going to say. I don't know what Congress is going to decide to do with these different relief packages. We just don't know. And I heard this really good analogy. It said, at the beginning, we thought that this was like a snow day. And so we're excited. Oh, kids are off school, no school. And then it's like, okay, well, maybe it's a holiday. And then it stretched into a long winter. And now we might be facing what could be an ice age, because we just don't know. And so I really had to adjust what the path is and what the goal is, and just to surrender and be open to what's happening right now.
Yes. And you mentioned, like, being a person of faith, and I am too. And I heard a podcast episode. It's actually the Epic Success podcast with Dr. Shannon Irvin. And she had a guest on that said the most profound, it was awesome. But she was saying, through all of this, it is uncertain. We have had to pivot. We can't, and talked about exactly how we had these goals. We thought this is exactly how the year was going to go. I too was ready. My center was going to have its best year ever. I had just turned over my center to a director and, started a second business. In this podcast episode, her guest actually said one of the things that's really jumped out to her and what's become her favorite phrase in the Bible is "but God." And it's so profound, right? And I just thought like, oh my gosh. And she's like, we've had these plans, but God. COVID is taking everything but God. And it's like, if we just keep focused, that has helped me so much too, with that opening my heart and my mind. Okay, well, I thought I had these plans, but God, you apparently didn't. It's crazy. Those two little words can just become so profound in this situation.
Yes. And I have to focus on what I believe to the depths of my soul. And that is that God is good. Like this situation is not good, but I have to believe that he'll bring good out of this for all of us.
And he will. I totally agree. I do think that in the end, we will be off. And I can see already, it's kind of cool to me. I don't know. I've been watching so many different people emerge from this. And it's really cool to watch where I'm seeing like these people just rise. And you're one of them who I've just kind of watched rise and become this leader and just really just step up, serve people. I think we're in this position where so many of us are going to end better people after this. We can grow. And that's where every single one of us has that choice on we can become better from this. We can choose to let it consume us and take us down, or we can choose to be better. And I'm pretty confident that we will, as a society as a whole, because I do also believe God is in control and he's got this and we will emerge victorious, which brings me on to your next V, victories, and celebrate them. So let's talk about that one a little.
Yeah. So, okay, measuring success looks completely different when you don't have any measurable analytics to look toward. And so I have just decided that my victories every day is going to be anchored in my gratitude practice.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. What can I kind of shift my mind just to focus on, like I said, the wins of the day. And I think we have to have this mind shift to look at what the victories are in this season. What can I celebrate? My kids are 20 and 21 and they're both, my son is at Baylor University and my daughter just graduated and she's working, and they were home for Easter. And I was so thankful because they were home for 5 days. And when your kids are at home, the days are long, but the years are short. And I know so many people are, in this, in the thick of homeschool and working from home. But for me, a win was the fact that for 3 straight days in a row, my adult kids sat on our big fluffy couch and we watched Netflix together.
Right.
So, that's a huge victory to celebrate. And so there are things that I'm grateful for in this season, Evelyn, that I did not even think to be grateful for.
Right. That we take for granted. Yes. So much that we take for granted every day that, and that's something I've tried to really focus on too, because I have a history of anxiety and depression. And so I really have to really focus and make sure that I'm looking at, because if I fall down that rabbit hole, it's so hard to get out. And so I really just, every day I wake up and just, with my devotional, just kind of, I have to find those things that I should be so thankful for. Like, just the fact that our children are well. Our children are well, they're doing good. There's still so much. If you look for it, there's still so much. There's mornings where my dogs are with me and they bring me, and I'm just even thankful for them, just where a lot of people would just like, it's just your dog. I'm like, yeah, but we need to be thankful for every little thing in our lives right now, because there is so much that we're still, just to be Americans, we are so blessed.
So blessed. And, and another thing that I've looked at is, what are something that I've refused to return to? I also have a history of anxiety, and boy, that it can catch me so quickly. And just acknowledging that I get to choose what I think about, and I get to choose whether or not I go into that toxic spiral that takes me to a not good place. And so just walking through this journal has helped me to keep my mind up and to keep my thoughts focused on things above and not focused on those circumstances. And I've made a list of some things that I'm going to refuse to return to when this is all over. And the things that brought chaos and confusion and frustration and just the constant daily striving some of those things have to go. And I'm looking forward to what it's going to look like when I implement the ceasing of striving when life gets back to normal.
Right. And as somebody who has struggled too with depression, I would really encourage my listeners to download this journal. I mean, it really will help you. I know what it feels like to be stuck in that pit, and just, it almost feels like you fall into a hole that's so hard to crawl out of. And this journal really, it's got some wonderful self-reflection things that can really help you to get your mind out of that. It's like being stuck on a hamster wheel. And just
Yes.
a couple examples, like some of the questions you ask is, what is something you refuse to return to, like you were just saying? And that's exactly how I feel too, is like, I refuse to fall down that hole again. But we have to make that conscious decision. Just as for somebody listening, if you've got to make that conscious decision to come out of it. You've
That's
got
right.
to start doing the work to pull yourself out. Another question you have is, what can you celebrate from this season? And what are you grateful for today that you did not recognize before the season? So yeah, really just looking. There is a lot of positive out there, but sometimes we just have to really, really look for it.
Look hard. Yes.
Yeah, we do. So next we have Imagine Strategies for Growth. So let's talk about that.
So two schools of thought on this. So growth in your personal life and growth in your professional life.
Yeah.
We have never in history of the people who are alive today have had life come to a screeching halt the way that it has right now. And so I've really used this time to look at some different strategies and be intentional about how I want to grow personally, because I can set my business goals and my leadership goals all day long, but the truth is I don't know what I'm going to have when all of this is over.
Right.
So I have to start with the personal goals, and I think that's connecting, choosing relationships that refresh me and restore me, and choosing to reach out and choosing to connect with people. And those personal growth strategies to me help me to look at what, like I said, who do I want to be when I come out of this, and just being intentional what that's going to look like. And then and then as far as professional growth possibilities, I think for me, and probably for so many of your leaders, we've been so into the grind, our life becomes very reactive.
Right.
So going into the season, we had a really hard season in our business this last year. And I know it comes with growth. So if your business has been in a season of growth, you've gone through those growing pains. I went from one full-time person and about 25 part-time people to 2 full-time people and 40 part-time people. And
wow.
Just the, and adding new programs and adding more things. And so rather than being strategic about what was happening, it just seemed like one thing got piled on to another thing. And it was just almost suffocating. But it's not something that I would have ever on my own stopped. God allowed it to all stop at once. And so I am looking forward to strategies that I can be specific, and I will get to choose what I bring back. I'll get to choose what I don't bring back. And I think having, looking at your mindset, we either have a growth mindset or a fixed mindset. When I've really taken a time to examine my heart and examine my mind, there were some things I had a fixed mindset on, and that's going to change.
Yeah.
I'm going to have more of a growth mindset and be open to the possibilities of it might not look like I think it should, and that's okay.
Oh, I totally agree. I love that. I absolutely just having that growth mindset and looking at just letting go of our preconceived notions. I think that's a huge one that I've learned too. We just get so stuck in our own head. And that's where I think that's one of the things I think is such a huge benefit from this. And I'm in the same boat where it's just opened my eyes to so many things that I had around me that was really senseless, that I was allowing into my life that was senseless. And so just an example of how you can grow from this and be better in the end, or really analyzing and looking at those things. So your D for determine who you'll be at the end of this. I absolutely love this part. So tell me about this.
Well, this is the best part, because again, it goes back to choices, and we have an opportunity to remake ourselves, to reset our life, to reestablish some goals. And so being intentional about who we want to become, it goes back to, that's a life-giving choice. And one of the things that I'm reflecting on is, what can I do during this season that are going to fuel my body and soul? Staying active. I have been a fitness instructor since I graduated from high school, and that has been a really, really long time. I love to motivate people to do their best. And when we don't have our regular, gym, I teach yoga several times a week. I don't have that opportunity to get in the gym and to work out. So I've had to figure out exercise and movement. I keep a set of weights on my desk. And when I get up to move and I get up from my desk, I'm like, okay, I've got to work my arms, or instead of just sitting in this chair, I've got to do some squats or some lunges or go take a walk. We've got to keep our bodies moving, because if you are at home right now, it is so easy to just stay within your four walls and Netflix and chill and numb out and not be mindful that you want actual pants to fit you when this is over.
Or just obsessing too. One of the things I really encourage people to stop doing is obsessing over the news and social media.
Oh gosh.
Right. It just becomes so easy. And I've fallen into that trap, I do admit, where before this, going to the gym and having my routine. And so I caught myself in that trap where I haven't been working out, and thank goodness I am going into work. So I do have to put my jeans on. I did actually last week, finally just tell myself I've got to start moving again. So hard to get to the point I'm at. In the last 2 years, I've lost 140 pounds.
Oh, my word.
Yeah.
That is wonderful.
And that's the thing. I'm like, okay, I cannot fall back into that old habit again. I've got to start moving again. So I totally agree with you. It's amazing how I was just starting to feel like just so run down, and just from the week of moving again and getting back into yoga at home. But I so agree with you. There's YouTube has so many free videos that you can find,
Absolutely. Now more than ever, there's so much content out there, and when you're going to the grocery store, just don't buy the junk.
Yes.
Because if you don't have it, you can't eat it. And so, making choices like that, drinking your water. One thing that I always try to do is drink half of my body weight in ounces and of water. So, constantly drinking water. And so that is one thing that we definitely can control. So we want to determine, we want to be healthy, not just in our minds and in our hearts, but in our bodies. And then what's the plan for that? Like, I am using my planner every single day, even though I'm working at home, and I am scheduling when I'm going to exercise, when I'm going to move my body. And so that's really,
right.
That has really helped me. And, and getting, you've got to have a plan. I know it's such a cliche saying, fail to plan to fail, but it's the truth. And who do you have in your life? Maybe you need an accountability partner.
Yeah.
Maybe you need a tool. So whether it's your planner, whether, you use a project management tool, like I use Trello. Trello is my absolute favorite project management tool. And so I have my to-do list in Trello, and it's so exciting because I can drag things from a to-do column to a done column. And it's like a endorphin high for me when I get to move things to the done column. But again, it's just a tool that keeps me accountable to stay productive. So when this is over, I will be, my business will be better organized. My home is better organized. My office is more organized. I just have such a clear picture of where I'm going to go, because I've used this as an opportunity to declutter my heart, declutter my mind, declutter my house. And when I go forward, I'm going to be the best, most healthy version of me that I can be when all of this is over.
Right. And I think, you bring up so many good points that not only do we need to see like professionally and in a personal, but we really need to look at that whole picture of who will we be at the end of this. And we fall down that buffering where we love to buffer our pain, and this is so stressful. So we buffer the stress, which comes in forms of like overeating, not working out, binging on Netflix, shopping. So I really urge people to think about, we have to stay future focused, because this is going to end. And so I urge people to stay future focused and remember that you're going to have to deal with all this when it's over. So ask yourself the things like, what do I want to deal with when this is, do I want to have to lose 30 pounds when this is over? Do I want to have my credit cards ran up when this is over? So really just find those places in yourself that you buffer. and make sure to make a conscious decision that you're not doing it. One of the things that I'm doing to help me, because I tend to love to shop. So I've just put out a little, literally like just a clear glass vase. And every time I don't buy something, I throw a penny into it or something, just so that I can see like every time that I haven't allowed myself to buffer. Or I like to buffer with junk food too. So every time I make a good choice, I'll throw a penny inside this jar. So I have that visualization, and it just gives me an action to take to remember not to do, not to buffer.
That's a great idea. I'll need to go to the bank and get some rolls of pennies.
Yeah.
If that's,
And it could be anything. I mean, whatever you have, it doesn't have to be, but that I had a ton. So that, but
that's awesome.
Teased me that it should be Cheetos or something, but it was, anything you can that you can just throw into a jar, even if it's some rocks, whatever, but something where you've got that visual and it's a physical action and you can see it, so that as the jar fills, it feels like that reward that, look, I did it. I didn't go and eat that candy bar, or I didn't buy a bag of chips, but instead, or I didn't go shopping for that purse I really wanted online.
Right. And, and just knowing knowing your triggers, because I also do love to shop, and, and knowing your triggers and recognizing that, when you're isolated and your schedule looks different, it really is an opportunity for you to self-reflect, on that. And one of, in COVID, it's COVID-19. And for those people who are of faith, the 1:9 that I've really had to focus on is Joshua 1:9, which just says, be strong and courageous and do not fear, because God will be with you wherever you go. And even though I'm not going anywhere right now, we all have a future. Right. We all have a future, and we all have things to look forward to. And so just being intentional to say, I will survive now. And when this is over, I am going to thrive, and we all are going to thrive, but we have to make the choices now to get us to that place of thriving. Or if we don't, when all of this is over, we are not going to have taken this tremendous opportunity to reevaluate and reset. And I have a feeling if we don't, there are going to be some regrets, and we're not going to be able to get this time of slow down back again, maybe ever.
Yep. And we can, like you were saying, just the fact that you were able to declutter your house, that's huge. I know sometimes I kind of wish I had closed down my center so I could be home to do things like that. Because those things that cause you anxiety, if it's like your closet needs to be cleaned out, whatever, those such great opportunities to eliminate those things that normally cause you anxiety. The stuff, and even from a professional standpoint, if you're a director or an owner, what about now's a great time to go through your processes, procedures, your, employee handbook, your parent handbook. What do you have set up there? What are all those things that you've wanted to clean up? And even though I'm open right now, I'm running at about only 40% of my normal capacity. So one of the things we're doing is 2 of my classrooms are closed. So we've been remodeling. I've got,
that's awesome.
Yeah. And, it's something I've been needing to do for years. I've just noticed my walls are looking a little dingy. So we're closing down, we're kind of moving around which classrooms we're closing, and we're painting. We're just really stripping the floors, doing everything we need to do at this time. So, just little things like that, just the things that have been driving you crazy. Now's a great opportunity to do it. Even if you're like me, if you're open, but things are not as busy as they are, you can still get a lot of that done now. So that,
and just think how that better serves your customers when this is over, and they'll come back, and the 60% who aren't with you now are going to come back and be like, wow, you guys really took this time to make this a great place for our family and for our kids. And I think that they're going to see that, and they're going to feel the love, and they're going to feel that you took this time to matter because you care about them and you want to provide the best experience for their kids. And I think that's not going to go unnoticed.
I agree. And they'll see that we took the time to make it a better place for their children. And it's the same thing. I know a lot of owners I've been speaking to are really nervous about changing their policy, but it's the same kind of concept where when we are increasing the quality we put out there, right, parents do appreciate that. Bottom line, most people do want their children in a high quality center. And so if you're really working on those kind of things right now, and your staff too. I know sometimes, people act like they don't like the rules and whatnot, but it does give them a sense of security. So now is a great opportunity to just really take this time And you can, I keep saying, come back stronger. That's been my theme throughout this whole thing, is we can come back stronger. And I will just love who you will be in the end. It can be just those little things that are driving you nuts every day that you can accomplish now.
That's right. That's right. And deciding who you want to be, updating all your things. You talked about building your workflow and figuring out what's working, what's not working, what needs to change. That's all great.
Right. So Beth, do you have anything else you would like to add before we end?
Well, yes. So I would love for them to go on and grab that Survive to Thrive journal. And then I also created a course called Survive to Thrive. It's on my website. If you're in Texas, I'm a registered trainer in the state of Texas, so you can get a certificate for training, and it may be available for completion in other states. I'm not sure what all of the qualifications are, but the course is normally 10, and I've got a special going on. The promo code is RONA, which if you have young people in your life, that's what they call the coronavirus. She has a nickname and it's Rona.
Yep.
And so we're going to go with Rona as the promo code. And that'll take that course down to just $5. If you need some extra training hours, or even if you just want to go on and spend some time getting motivated, there's some content to help you work through the journal, some articles in there, short little quiz. And then we've got a couple of other courses on there you might want to take a look at as well at BethCannonSpeaks.com.
Yeah, and for $5, I mean, that is just basically almost free. So everybody should, even if you don't get credit for your state, it's still so good to just have that personal growth and development. Do it for you. Thank you so much, Beth, for being with me today. I really, really appreciate the encouraging words, and I think everybody needs to hear.
Well, and it was my pleasure. I'm so thankful that you had me on, and I love what you're doing in this childcare space. I mean, I'm on lots of different groups and I see your face everywhere. And I know that you're doing such a great job to motivate and encourage all these early childhood leaders who are just trying to navigate this crazy season that we're in. So great job.
Yes. And, I do want to add before we go too, that Beth has a fabulous Facebook page also that I will put in the links that really serves church-based and faith-based centers. So if you are in that nonprofit space doing, with a church-based center, go check out her Facebook page. There's a lot of great resources there for the nonprofits.
Yes, absolutely. We've got a great group. There's a lot of engagement, and I'm kind of working with the team. So as just different resources open up, like their ability to get unemployment, or those who are navigating the PPP or the EIDL. So lots of really COVID-19 specific resources that are in there right now. So yes, thanks for mentioning that.
Oh, no problem. Well, thank you.
Thank you so much, Beth, for the encouragement. Be sure to check out Beth's website and the show notes for her Facebook page information. And also, if you're really struggling through this time, join my Facebook group. You can find it at www.facebook.com/groups/childcarebusinesscoach. I am committed to bringing just relevant, helpful information to you throughout this period, and we're all in this together. So I'm really just trying to deliver and serve to all of you out there right now who are struggling. So make sure you join my group. I do interact with everybody on a daily basis. Come on in so you can join in the conversation, get some encouragement, and know that you're not alone out there. There is a great group of ladies out there that are willing to come alongside you. Even if it's virtual, at least we can just connect and get through this together. So make sure to join me again next week when I bring some more information to you guys about just getting through this and how to make those difficult decisions that we face every day right now. Have a great week, everybody.